What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and this is another Tackle Tip Tuesday episode. And for anybody new, my name is Matt Luna, and I bring you tackle tips every single Tuesday, as well as on the water videos, fishing trips, fishing tournaments, tackle making, and fishing tips just like this video. And today we're going to be talking about the three most common mistakes that new bass fishermen make when fishing plastic worms. Now, fishing a plastic worm may not be everybody's favorite technique, but it's by far the old faithful. Everybody's got to know how to throw a plastic worm, whether it's a drop shot, a big 10-inch worm, a 6-inch Texas rig. There's tons of different worms, tons of different options out there. We got to know how to fish those because they flat out catch fish. And if this sounds like something that you're going to like to learn about, make sure to smash that like button. And we're going to get into the first tip right now. One of the most common mistakes that I see people make when fishing plastic worms is that they fish the thing way too fast. Fishing it too fast is going to minimize the amount of bites that you're going to get. Now, that doesn't mean you're just going to sit there and let it sit on the bottom forever, but you got to give it a little bit of action, but you want to work that thing slow. I see too many guys out there shaking the rod tip really fast. They're bouncing it, reeling it, bouncing it, reeling it, bouncing it, reeling it. You're fishing that thing way too fast. One of the things that makes the plastic worm so effective is that it doesn't spook fish. It comes in there nice and slow. It doesn't stir up a ton of stuff. When those fish are wanting that plastic worm, they're not wanting to chase things. They're not wanting to commit to those reaction baits. They're wanting something a lot more subtle. And when you bomb cast that thing in there and you start shaking it a lot and hopping it and moving it really fast, those fish aren't going to want it. And if they did, there's probably a better technique that you could be throwing to be more efficient on that spot. So the next time you go to fish that plastic worm, fish it nice and slow. Slow drags, subtle little hops, shake it a little bit, but make sure you're fishing that thing slow. Slow is the key to the plastic worm. You don't want to be fishing it too fast. Just slowly drag that thing on the bottom, wanting to feel every single rock, every single piece of brush down there, all the grass. Nice and slow, little subtle pops, little subtle drags, and you're going to get more bites that way. Mistake number two that I see a lot of new fishermen, bass fishing beginners make is they don't let that thing go all the way to the bottom. Whether it's a drop shot, a Carolina rig, a Texas rig, they cast that thing out there and they engage the reel and that thing never touches bottom. When you're fishing a plastic worm, you want that thing to get all the way down to the bottom, whether it's a drop shot, whether it's a Carolina rig, whether it's a big 10-inch worm, a 6-inch worm, it doesn't matter whatsoever. That thing's got to go from the top of the water all the way down. It doesn't matter if you're fishing right on the bank or down in 50 foot. That thing's got to get down to the bottom. You want to feel every single rock down there, every single tree branch, every single brush, every single piece of grass. You want to feel every single one of them. You're just dragging that thing and you're going to feel it come up over that rock. You might even feel it just sit on top of it. You want to feel it fall down the face of that rock. You want to feel it come up and over that branch. You want to feel it come through all those pieces of grass. That's how you're going to start feeling the bites. You're going to start knowing the difference between the structure and a bite, and you have to be on the bottom. If you're not on the bottom, you're not going to catch anywhere near as many fish as you could be. Another mistake I see a lot of beginning bass fishermen make is overworking their plastic worms. Now, this doesn't matter if it's a drop shot, doesn't matter if it's the Carolina rig, doesn't matter if it's a Texas rig, doesn't matter if it's a big worm. You don't want to overwork the plastic worm. If you overwork it, if you're shaking it too much, giving it too big of hops, a lot of times that's going to affect how many bites you get, and not in a good way. You're going to get less bites by overworking that plastic. I have found that slow drags, more subtle approaches, more subtle movements, shaking the line almost more than shaking the bait, small little drags, and like I've said already, feeling every little bit of cover down there, that's how you're going to get the most bites. You don't want that thing going 4 or 5 foot off the water and back down. Now, there might be a time and a place for stroking a jig or something like that, but 99% of the time when you're fishing that plastic worm, it needs to be slow, it needs to be subtle, and don't overwork that plastic worm. It's going to cost you bites. Guys, I know that fishing a plastic worm isn't the most fun thing in the world, and I know that there's a lot of other baits that we probably would prefer. We'd probably rather tell somebody that we caught a swim bait fish instead of saying that we caught him dragging a worm. But dragging a worm and fishing drop shots and all that kind of stuff flat out catches fish. You get a ton of bites doing it. So take these tips. Don't do these 3 mistakes now that you know. So take these tips the next time you go out in the lake, the next time you're fishing plastic worms, apply these tips and I guarantee you're going to catch more fish. For more content like this, make sure to check out my Tackle Tip Tuesday video. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and any questions, make sure to leave a comment down below.